The chandeliers shimmered over the ballroom of Seattle's Westwood Hotel, but Meline Foster couldn't stop asking herself one question. Why am I here? Surrounded by millionaires in designer gowns and tuxedos, she felt more like an intruder than a guest. The truth was, she wasn't here to mingle or to be dazzled by luxury. She was here to work, just another sign language interpreter hired for the evening's hospital charity gala. But the moment she noticed the teenage girl in the midnight blue dress standing alone in the corner, Meline's life, and the lives of two others, would never be the same. At first glance, the girl looked like any other privileged daughter dragged along to her father's high-profile event. But Meline recognized something instantly in the way she carried herself, the careful posture, the way her sharp eyes tracked lips without joining the conversations. The girl was deaf, and no one, not even her own family, seemed to be speaking to her. Meline's stomach twisted when she realized who the girl's father was. Jackson Pierce, the tech billionaire himself, had just arrived, stealing the spotlight. Cameras flashed, donors swarmed, and yet he never once looked toward his daughter. She might as well have been invisible. Meline made her choice. With steady hands, she crossed the crowded floor and signed, "Hello, I'm Meline. What's your name?" The mask of indifference cracked instantly, replaced by a smile, so bright it made Meline's chest ache. "I'm Olivia," the girl signed back. "You know ASL?" That moment of connection was electric. It was also the spark that would set fire to years of silence, grief, and secrets buried inside one of Seattle's most powerful families. For the first time all night, Olivia wasn't a prop in her father's photo opportunities. She was herself. She signed quickly, venting the frustration of being misunderstood, how people exaggerated their lips, shouted at her as if deafness meant stupidity, or ignored her altogether. Meline listened, nodded, laughed with her, and for once Olivia's shoulders relaxed. But the joy didn't last. When Jackson Pierce finally noticed, it wasn't to join the conversation. It was to summon his daughter like a staff member. "Olivia, it's time for photos." Not a glance at Meline, not a word of acknowledgement, and not a single sign for his daughter. As Olivia drifted toward the cameras, Meline felt anger rising. How could a man who built an empire of innovation be so blind to his own child? Later that evening, Meline found Olivia outside on the terrace, breathing in relief from the endless chatter. But Jackson followed. This time, Meline didn't step aside. She signed while speaking, forcing him to see the reality. "Mr. Pierce, your daughter is extraordinary, but you'll never know that if you can't talk to her." For the first time, the billionaire's mask slipped. A flicker of shame crossed his face. He pulled Olivia away, defensive and silent, but Meline's words had struck deeper than she realized. The next morning, she received a call she never expected. Jackson Pierce wasn't filing a complaint against her. He was requesting her, personally. At his glass and stone mansion overlooking Lake Washington, Meline expected a reprimand. Instead, Jackson shocked her. "I want to hire you, not to interpret for Olivia, to teach me to sign." Meline hesitated. This wasn't just about learning ASL. This was about repairing a relationship fractured by tragedy. Years ago, a car accident had taken Olivia's mother and her hearing in one devastating moment. Jackson, paralyzed by guilt, had buried himself in work while pushing Olivia away to schools and specialists. He told himself he was giving her the best. In truth, he was running from his own failures. Meline looked him in the eye. Learning ASL is one thing. Rebuilding your bond with Olivia is another. Are you ready for that? His answer was simple. "I have no choice. She's my daughter." Weeks turned into months. Meline pushed Jackson through lessons, drilling him not on business terms, but on words that mattered. "I'm proud of you. I love you." At first, his hands trembled. But slowly, steadily, he improved. Still, Olivia doubted him. At coffee shops and late-night talks, she confided in Meline about her loneliness, her art, and her skepticism. "He won't stick with it. He never does when it comes to me." But at her senior art showcase, something shifted. In front of a crowd, Jackson stood before her painting, an explosion of chaos and color titled after silence. And there, in halting but unmistakable ASL, he told his daughter for the first time in a decade, "I'm proud of you." The room fell away. For Olivia, it was the beginning of something she had thought impossible. That fragile progress nearly collapsed when Jackson announced a surprise scholarship in Olivia's late mother's name, one that would send her to Paris against her wishes. Years of anger spilled out, accusations of abandonment, of being shipped away like a problem, of growing up without the father she desperately needed. Jackson finally broke. Through halting words and raw honesty, he admitted the truth. He hadn't abandoned her because she was deaf. He had abandoned her because he was afraid. Afraid of failing her, of facing her grief, of his own guilt. For the first time, Olivia saw her father not as the untouchable billionaire, but as a broken man who had lost his wife and didn't know how to keep his daughter. By graduation day, everything had changed. Olivia stood on stage, signing her valedictorian speech with confidence, while her father watched from the front row, pride written across his face. She spoke of communication, silence, and love that transcends sound. 6 months later, the Pierce estate had transformed. An entire sunroom had become Olivia's art studio. And more than that, a new foundation had been created in her mother's honor, dedicated to deaf education and the arts. Every staff member, by Jackson's order, would learn ASL. When Olivia and Jackson invited Meline to join as program director, she realized what had truly happened. This wasn't just a story about a girl, a father, and an interpreter. It was about how love, when finally spoken in the right language, can heal even the deepest silence.